year 2147, Earth was in a state of radical transformation. Technology had advanced by leaps and bounds, allowing humanity not only to colonize Mars, but also to send exploratory probes to distant star systems. The conquest of space had become a new frontier, and exploration was at its peak. However, this progress brought with it a new kind of anxiety, as humanity looked to the stars, not only in search of new worlds, but also with the fear that something might be out there, watching. In an underground laboratory of the International Space Agency, a group of scientists, led by Dr. Helena Cortez, was monitoring radio frequency signals coming from the planet Zeta 9, located over 150 light-years from Earth. The signals were intermittent and displayed unusual patterns. Helena, a renowned astrophysicist, was intrigued. "These patterns do not resemble anything we have encountered before," she said to her team, analyzing the graphs on a holographic screen. "It seems like a language, but it is unrecognizable. We need to investigate further." As the days passed, the signals became more insistent, almost like a call. Helena and her team sent a report to the government, but the response was slow. Most leaders were preoccupied with conflicts on Earth and geopolitical tensions, ignoring what appeared to be a simple cosmic anomaly. Meanwhile, ordinary people began to notice the change. In various parts of the world, strange phenomena started to occur: inexplicable lights in the sky and interference in electronic equipment. Paranoia began to spread, and rumors of a possible alien invasion gained traction on social media. Finally, a month after the transmissions began, the scientists managed to decipher part of the message. "We seek shelter." The world was left in shock. News spread rapidly, and panic ensued. Experts were summoned, and emergency meetings were organized. Humanity was about to face something it had never imagined. Helena was called to a press conference. "We are dealing with an unprecedented situation. We do not know who or what is behind these signals, but we must be prepared for any eventuality." With Dr. Cortez's announcement, nations began to mobilize. Armed forces were put on high alert, and defense technology was reviewed. Military bases around the world received orders to prepare for a possible attack. Meanwhile, Helena and her team continued to monitor Zeta 9. On a fateful night, while observing the data, a massive fleet of ships appeared on the sensors, emerging from hyperspace. The ships were enormous, with organic shapes that defied human logic. "We have a serious problem," Helena said, her heart racing. "They are approaching rapidly." With the confirmation of the alien presence, panic spread like wildfire. Entire cities collapsed as people tried to escape what they did not understand. Amidst the chaos, Helena Cortez and her team tried to remain calm, but the reality was undeniable. The invasion was about to happen. The streets were filled with screams and sirens. Public transport was halted, and roads were congested with people trying to leave the major cities. News was broadcast in real time, showing images of immense ships hovering over major urban centers. Social media buzzed with conspiracy theories and pleas for help. On the morning of a fateful day, the alien ships began to position themselves over the world's major cities. The pulsing lights emanating from them seemed to play with the human mind, generating a sense of perplexity and fear. In New York, the first energy discharge hit the city, creating a force field that disabled all electricity in the area. Buildings shook, and people ran into the streets, terrified. Military helicopters rose into the skies, but their attempts to approach the ships were quickly thwarted by an invisible shield. Governments around the world tried to respond to the invasion. Military commanders gathered at command centers, discussing strategies and assessing what they knew about alien technology. Communication between countries became crucial. It was a battle for the survival of humanity. General Ricardo Almeida, head of Earth's military command, declared a global state of emergency. "We need to unite our forces. We cannot let them dominate us without a fight. Prepare for defense." As the military organized, small groups of civilians began to gather in communities. Many were former military personnel, engineers, and scientists who refused to surrender. In a garage in the suburbs of Los Angeles, a group led by a young woman named Maya began to plan resistance actions.
"If we can't face them head-on, we need to know their weaknesses," Maya said, determination in her eyes. "We must find out how they communicate and what they really want."
Amidst the confusion, Helena Cortez, who was monitoring the alien signals, noticed an opportunity. The communication patterns of the ships were repeating. She convinced a group of scientists and military personnel to join her on a risky mission, to infiltrate one of the ships to gather information. If we can understand what they are doing and why they are here, we might change the course of this war before it begins, Helena said, her voice firm despite the fear she felt. As the resistance organized and the militarization of society increased, the alien ships continued to hover over the cities, sending shockwaves and destabilizing the infrastructure. Time was running out, and humanity prepared for what could be the final battle. With the determination to discover the truth and the hope for a future, Helena and her group prepared for their mission. They knew that every second counted, and the survival of Earth could depend on their actions. The tension was palpable as the shadow of the invaders grew increasingly oppressive. As the alien invasion intensified, the need for an organized resistance became evident. Groups of civilians, ex-military personnel, and scientists began to unite, forming resistance cells in various parts of the world. In each city, natural leaders emerged who, like Maya in Los Angeles, took the initiative to mobilize people willing to fight. Helena Cortez, determined to make a difference, became one of the main voices of the resistance. She saw the struggle not only as a defensive act, but as an opportunity to understand the invaders. In a clandestine meeting in an abandoned warehouse, Helena shared her discoveries with the resistance members. We need to find out what they want and how we can communicate with them. This is not just a military battle, but a battle for understanding, she said, as everyone listened attentively. The first major plan of the resistance involved an audacious mission, infiltrating one of the alien ships hovering over the city. For this, a group of 6 volunteers, including Helena and Maya, was selected. They knew the risk was enormous, but the hope of discovering a weakness in the invaders motivated them. Equipped with improvised technology such as surveillance drones and camouflage devices, the group prepared for the mission. With the help of engineers, they managed to build a device that could intercept alien communications, which could be crucial for understanding their intentions. In the dead of night, as the city lights flickered under the presence of the ships, the group approached one of the enormous alien structures. Using the drones to distract the guards, they managed to access a service entrance. The tension was palpable as they moved through the shadows, aware that a mistake could mean capture or even death. Inside the ship, the environment was surreal. The walls pulsed with a soft bioluminescence, and alien sounds echoed through the corridor. The group split into pairs, each tasked with exploring different areas of the ship and collecting information. Helena and Maya, in turn, found a control center. The screens displayed data that seemed to be about Earth, natural resources, patterns of human behavior, and even images of cities. "They are studying us," Helena said, her voice trembling. "They are analyzing our weaknesses." As they tried to gather as much information as possible, an alarm sounded. "We need to get out of here now," Maya shouted, pulling Helena by the hand. The group quickly regrouped and started to run toward the exit, but was intercepted by a group of armed aliens. A quick and intense battle erupted. The group, although outnumbered, fought bravely. Using all available resources, they managed to disable some of the aliens, but the situation was critical. In a moment of inspiration, Helena decided to use the communication device they had built. "If we can communicate, maybe we can negotiate," she thought. With the device in hand, she began transmitting a message in a pattern she hoped would be recognized by the invaders. "We are here to understand, not to fight. We need peace." The message echoed through the ship's frequencies, and, to the group's surprise, the aliens hesitated. One of the invaders, who seemed to be a leader, approached slowly, examining them with curiosity. "Your signals are different," said the invader in a language that, somehow, Helena managed to understand. "Why do you not attack?" It was at that moment that the resistance realized that the invasion was not just an attempt at conquest, but also a result of alien desperation. This revelation could change everything. If there was a chance for dialogue, perhaps the struggle could be avoided. With tension in the air, Helena and her team prepared to explain their intentions. It was a decisive moment, and everyone in the resistance knew that the future of Earth could depend on this conversation. As the words hung in the air, the resistance group and the alien leader faced each other in tense silence. Helena knew that this moment could define the fate of Earth. With a gentle gesture, she chose to move closer to the alien, who watched her with a mix of curiosity and caution. "We come in peace," Helena said, her voice firm yet calm. "We are fighting to protect our home, but we believe there is a way for us to coexist." The alien, who introduced himself as Whar, seemed to understand. He gestured, and a holographic screen emerged between them, showing a projection of the planet Zeta-9, devastated by wars and environmental crises. "Our world is dying. We have come in search of a vital resource that can save our species." Whar's revelation shocked Helena and her team. They learned that the invaders were not mere conquerors, but survivors of a collapsing civilization. Whar explained that they were seeking a rare mineral found in Earth's crust, which had the potential to restore the atmosphere of their home planet. "We are desperate," Whar said. "Our only option was to attack, but we do not desire war." As Helena listened, her mind filled with questions. What if we can help? What do we need to do to avoid further bloodshed? Whar hesitated, his eyes shining with the light of hope. "We need a deal. If you provide us with the mineral, we promise to help protect Earth from any future threat. We can share our technology, our wisdom." This proposal left Helena deep in thought. The idea of helping a civilization in danger was tempting, but also fraught with risks. She turned to her team, who exchanged worried glances. Maya, always pragmatic, was the first to speak. "We need to ensure they fulfill their part of the agreement. We can't afford to be deceived." After lengthy discussions, the group decided that the best approach would be to negotiate a temporary agreement. Helena and Whar agreed to set up a formal meeting between the leaders of the resistance and the aliens. The message of peace would be conveyed to world leaders, and a summit would be scheduled. Helena began to work on a speech that could unite both species. She knew she needed to convince the resistance leaders and governments that war was not the only solution. Days later, in a secure location, representatives of the resistance, including Helena and Maya, met with Whar and other alien leaders. The atmosphere was tense, but there was a palpable sense of hope. The parties introduced themselves and expressed their intentions. "We are here to seek a peaceful solution," Helena began. "Earth cannot bear another war. If there is a way to help your people without sacrificing ours, we are willing to listen." In response, Whar presented data about the resources they sought and the condition of their planet, showing images of a civilization rich in culture, now on the brink of extinction. "We are not enemies, but allies in a universe that often proves hostile." After many hours of debate, a consensus began to emerge. The resistance and the aliens agreed to establish a program for exchanging resources and knowledge. Earth would provide the necessary mineral, while the aliens would share technologies that could help mitigate Earth's environmental crises. Helena felt a weight lift from her shoulders. It was a solution that could benefit both sides, but there was still much to do to ensure that peace would be maintained. The issue of trust still loomed in the air. As the leaders discussed the terms of the agreement, Helena knew they would need to work together to build a lasting relationship. "We need a mutual commitment," she said. "Trust will be the foundation of this new alliance." Whar nodded. "We will establish communication protocols and an interspecies council to ensure that both parties are heard and respected." With the foundations of the new alliance established, Helena and Whar worked tirelessly to formalize the terms of the agreement. Representatives from the resistance and the aliens met regularly, discussing resource exchanges and the technologies that would be shared. The atmosphere was charged with expectation and hope, but also with distrust, as many still viewed the aliens as a threat. Meanwhile, radical human groups began to emerge, disapproving of any form of cooperation with the invaders. They believed the aliens still had malicious intentions and that the resistance should prepare for an attack, not for an alliance. These groups began to mobilize, organizing protests and making fiery speeches on social media. Amid this tension, a radical faction of the aliens, opposed to the agreement, began to mobilize as well. They viewed the alliance with humans as a betrayal and believed the only way to ensure their species' survival was to dominate Earth. Kethar, noticing the growing discontent within his own people, called for an emergency meeting. "We need to act quickly," he said, worried. "If we can't unite our forces, we risk losing everything we've gained." As the leaders of the resistance and the aliens tried to maintain peace, radical groups began preparing for a mass attack. They saw the alliance as an opportunity to prove their superiority and eliminate those they believed were traitors. Aware of the situation, Helena decided to call an emergency summit. "We need to gather all the leaders, both human and alien," she said. "Only then can we face this threat together." The summit was scheduled for a neutral location, away from the tensions on both sides. During preparations, Helena and Kethar discussed how to use alien technology to defend against the radicals. "We have to show that we are stronger together," Kethar said. On the day of the summit, representatives from both sides gathered in a tense environment. Helena opened the meeting. "We are here not only to discuss our future, but to ensure that the peace we have achieved is not destroyed by extremists on either side." The leaders agreed to form a joint task force, composed of both humans and aliens, to confront the radical faction. The idea of a united front excited some, but met resistance from others. The challenge now was to unite the two species under a common goal. Tensions escalated when the radicals, realizing their plans were being thwarted, decided to attack. On a dark night, they launched a surprise assault on the base where the summit was being held, using weapons they had collected during the invasion. Sirens blared and chaos ensued. Helena, Kethar, and the other leaders were forced to act quickly. Together they headed for the command room where they could coordinate the defense. "We need all available allies," shouted Helena, trying to remain calm. "Let's unite our forces." The ensuing battle was intense. The resistance and the aliens fought side by side, utilizing both human and alien technology. Alien combat drones soared over the radicals, while humans used adapted weapons to confront the enemy force. Kethar stood out as a leader amidst the battle. He moved with agility, coordinating attacks and encouraging his allies. Helena, for her part, used her military strategy experience to position the troops effectively, ensuring everyone was protected. During the climax of the battle, Helena realized that the radical faction was being led by a former soldier who had become a dissident. She remembered that he knew the weaknesses of their defenses and could be the key to ending the conflict. "We need to neutralize their leader," Helena shouted. With an elite group, she charged toward the heart of the battle, where the former soldier was coordinating the attacks. The confrontation was fierce, but Helena, determined, managed to disarm him. "You don't have to do this. Together, we can build a better future," she yelled, trying to appeal to his reason. With the fall of the radical leader, the resistance crumbled. The remaining members, realizing they had lost the battle, began to surrender. The union of humans and aliens had proven stronger than any extremism. After the battle, Helena and Kethar met with the survivors, both exhausted but relieved. "Today we showed that unity is more powerful than division," Kethar said, his voice filled with gratitude. With the victory against the radical faction, the alliance between humans and aliens began to flourish. The world, which had been on the brink of destruction, now united in a collective effort to rebuild not only the damaged cities, but also mutual trust. Helena Cortez and Kethar led the recovery initiative, organizing teams that combined knowledge and skills from both species. Alien technologies were essential in the reconstruction. With Kethar's help, humans learned to utilize resources that had previously been considered impossible. Alien bioengineering tools allowed for the rapid restoration of devastated areas, while water purification technology helped revive compromised ecosystems. In a symbolic ceremony, the leaders of the resistance and the alien civilization formally established the alliance. In front of representatives from around the world, Helena delivered an inspiring speech. "We have come this far not just as survivors, but as partners. The war has shown us how vulnerable we are, but also how strong we can be when we work together. This is the beginning of a new chapter, not just for us, but for the entire universe." Kethar added, "We, aliens and humans, have much to learn from each other. Together, we can face not only the challenges ahead, but also those that are yet to come." With the alliance solidified, new educational initiatives were launched. Schools began teaching about the history and culture of both peoples. Children from different backgrounds gathered to learn and play together, creating bonds that transcended the barriers that had once separated them. Helena and Cathar also established an exchange program, allowing young people from both worlds to travel and live in each other's communities. These exchanges fostered friendship and understanding, preparing future generations for a united world. Despite the progress, challenges were not completely resolved. There were those who still opposed the alliance, fearing the loss of cultural identity or resources. Helena and Cathar knew they needed to address these concerns with empathy and dialogue. "We must show that diversity is a strength, not a weakness," Helena said at a meeting with community leaders. "Each of us brings something unique to this alliance. This is how we will build a stronger future." As time passed, collaboration between humans and aliens began to yield visible fruits. Technological advancements led to improvements in agriculture, health, and energy. Cities became more sustainable, and the quality of life for both peoples improved. However, the true lesson that emerged from this period of reconstruction was the importance of coexistence. Humanity, which had feared the unknown, now embraced diversity as a pathway to a brighter future. Helena did not forget her comrades who had fought and lost their lives for peace. In their honor, a monument was erected in a central park, symbolizing the union of peoples and the promise of a shared future. "We are here today because those who came before us believed in the possibility of a different tomorrow," Helena said during the monument's inauguration. "We must honor their legacy by living in peace and respect." As the sun set over the reconstructed cities, Helena and Cathar watched, filled with hope. "What we started here can change not only Earth, but the cosmos," Cathar said, looking towards the horizon. "Together, we can be an example of how unity can overcome even the most formidable challenges," Helena replied. "And who knows, perhaps one day we can explore new worlds together instead of fearing them."